Jesus sat with his disciples on the Mount of Olives, his voice steady and filled with authority. He warned them to stay awake and watch for the signs of the times. He told them that people would hear of wars and rumors of wars, but the end would not come at once. The disciples leaned closer, torn between fear and hope, as the evening sun glowed over Jerusalem. He declared that nations would rise against nations and kingdoms against kingdoms. The disciples grew uneasy, imagining conflict spreading across the earth. The horizon seemed heavy with his words. Jesus then spoke of earthquakes shaking the land. Houses would fall, the ground would split, and people would flee in fear. The disciples exchanged troubled looks, struggling to picture the earth trembling beneath their feet. He warned of famines that would leave people desperate. Children would cry for food, mothers would mourn, and markets would be empty. The disciples bowed their heads, burdened by the thought of sorrow and hunger. Jesus described pestilences spreading through the land. Strong men would fall ill, families would hide, and villages would echo with mourning. The disciples realized how fragile life could become when sickness ruled. He said these were the beginning of birth pains. Just as labor brings agony before life, so the world would groan before redemption. The disciples wrestled with fear, yet clung to hope. Jesus reminded them that his words were not to destroy courage, but to prepare hearts. He placed his hand on John's shoulder, showing that comfort would remain even in dark times. He promised that the gospel would be preached to every nation before the end came. Their mission was not only to endure, but to share truth with the world. The disciples lifted their eyes with renewed purpose. Jesus warned that false prophets would rise and deceive many. Lawlessness would increase, and love would grow cold. Yet those who endured to the end would be saved. The disciples silently resolved to remain faithful. He explained that earthquakes, famines, and pestilences were not meaningless tragedies, but signs of God's plan unfolding. The disciples began to understand that these sorrows pointed beyond themselves. He foretold persecution, that they would be hated for his name, but promised that the Spirit of God would strengthen them. Finally, Jesus assured them that when all seemed lost, the Son of Man would appear in glory. The heavens would open, every eye would see, and redemption would draw near. Thus, Jesus revealed that earthquakes, famines, and pestilences were not random disasters, but warnings. Signs written into creation, reminders that the kingdom of God was near.